we were like, oh, we only, we really wanted to direct. That was all we were interested in. And like, so we did a lot of stupid stuff in college, and I look back and I was like, I'm such an idiot. But one of the smartest things we did was we realized that, in terms of, we probably weren't going to make a short film like that was going to suddenly launch us into some major movie career, that like we needed to learn to write. And that was going to be the most valuable thing that we could have, which is a script that people wanted, and that we could leverage that. And so if you want to direct, I think you should teach yourself to write. Like we did not think of ourselves as writers at all. It's like I still don't really think of myself as a writer. But if you watch movies, the language of like visual storytelling of movies and television. Like you can sit down and do it. You're gonna write like 3 really bad scripts and just like make peace with that. But then what you can do is, if you have a piece of material like that, like people are desperate for scripts, for material actually. There's not like executives sitting around like, oh my God, there's so much good stuff. What do I do with all this? It's like garbage. So if you want to direct, and that's to me the smartest way into it. I mean, you always hear about kids who make some like a 5-10 minute short film that blows and wows everyone, and they get some sort of feature deal. But I feel like it's so rare.
Because like Bob mentioned the Tony Sella thing, which is great, but it didn't lead to anything. Like, so you were like for a second like, oh my God, we did it. We made the short film that's going to get us a job, and it's like, no, it doesn't. It's probably not going to get you the job. The short film.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not discouraging from making the short. I mean, that's incredibly important, like making films here.
Just don't expect to get a $200 million feature off of it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really
the and make peace with writing. You're not going to like it, but just.
And I think, and then for the writing, that the sort of the lesson that we learned that took a while for us to learn while we were writing is to not overthink it, because we're not writers. We don't see ourselves as writers, and you're trying to write this sort of, it's almost like you're thinking of like you're trying to write this great movie or this great novel, and you're trying to be so fancy about it, and that should not be your first goal in the screenwriting class. The first goal, and it's actually way harder than it seems, is just to write something that works at all on any level, because that was our biggest struggle in there, was just we're trying to be too fancy. And you look and listen, you're breaking down great movies, and I don't know if they're still teaching like a 7-act structure, but I remember breaking down movie to movie and just trying to figure out this mathematical formula. But there is not really perfect magical formula. The idea is that if you've been watching movies, like Matt's saying, if you're just obsessed with this stuff, it should be ingrained in you. Though, if it seems boring, it's because there's not enough tension. The plot needs to be moving forward. Like, it should already be in your brain. And so at a certain point, you need to just throw all that out and just try to tell a story. And a simple story. I remember the first time, most of our scripts didn't work, and the first one that kind of worked, we just did a very simple thing because we were frustrated with the writing process. And we're like, okay, this guy is going to wake up in the morning, and he's going to realize that he has 12 hours to live. And it was just a little exercise for us, which is that there's automatic tension in every scene when we know this guy's going to die. And that was the first script that we wrote that was like, okay, maybe this is working a little bit. It's at least moving forward. And that's the script that led us to our first agent.
It's right, because we got to work with Andrew Stanton this year, who's a Pixar guy, and like we love him because he wrote Toy Story, and he wrote WALL-E, and Finding Nemo, like some of the greatest, tightest screenplays ever. And so and Pixar is like, if anybody has figured this out, it's Pixar. And so I'm like talking to him because it's such a struggle for us, and just talking to Andrew and being like, how did you guys crack the code? And he's like, we haven't. Like, it's like they figured out every part of the process. The animation part of the process, the marketing part, they've got it all down to science, and except for the writing. It's just never going to figure out. So at some point, you just have to kind of feel your way through it. So that was a little bit depressing. It was like, oh. It made me feel a little bit better about myself. It's not like we're doing something wrong, but also, this is always going to be
a struggle.
Terrible. Terrible. Like it's never going to get easier. And I mean, that's the other lesson. It was like there are no, in terms of things not being easy, is like we kind of learned there are no real shortcuts to it. I mean, we're just from middle of nowhere in North Carolina, so we didn't know anyone. We didn't have any connections. And I do see this now. It's like sometimes people come up to us, they don't even know us, they'll try to, they'll hand me a script or something to read, and it's like that's just never going to work. And I feel like you, so don't give me your scripts is what I'm trying to say. But also, no, but I would read your script. I mean, it really does. But what you have to do is you have to earn people's respect. So like it was good. Like I mean, I think one of the best things to come out of Chapman is like they were like intern. It's really important, and that is true. I mean, it really was important for us to get up to Hollywood, and you start to work at these production companies. First of all, it's good. You just get to read a lot of scripts that are selling. You start to read this stuff, and it's like, this is not good. It's like it starts to give you confidence because you're like, these people are making money writing this garbage. I can do this. And then, so you get confidence from there, and then you start, you do coverage on scripts, which if you don't know what that is like you just summarize a script, tell what's good and bad about it. And we spent years doing a couple, 2,
but
3
even
years.
A lot of it
interning.
isn't even covered. I remember, it was like I had this producer. I had to sit at his apartment while it got cleaned. It was like you do what you got to do. You do what you got to do. You make the copies. You deliver the Christmas presents, and it sucks. And you just put in your time. You don't give them your script or your short film right then, right? You just have to earn. You have to earn it. And it's like those like Black Swan interns that sued. It's like, no, you gotta put in you gotta get the coffee for everyone, and you gotta earn their respect, and then they start giving you more responsibility, and they start to trust your opinion, and then you keep building on that, and that's when that script where I was like, the guy's gonna die. It's not the best script ever, but I was like, hey, will you read my script? And they read the script, and then that got us our first agent. And then we were like, well, now we've made it. We're big time.
We're like, boom.
We're like, this is like going to be like Entourage now. Like we were so excited that we had this big time agent, and he's getting you in the meetings of these big production companies. And actually, but this was the time, because this was right after we graduated Chapman, and we had our short film, and we had our script, and we had our agent, and it's like, oh my God, we did. This was the plan, and it actually worked, and we're going to be fine. But the period between that and selling our first thing was by far, I don't want to depress you, but it's by far the hardest time of our lives. And I hated high school, and this was way worse.
Yeah.
This was so much worse than high school, it's sad. And because really what it is you're going into these production companies and no one cares about you because you're not a success. You're just at the bottom of the barrel, and you're pitching them some story that you don't even care about. And it was depressing us because we weren't even excited about these movies. The executives we were pitching to weren't excited by our ideas, which isn't surprising because they weren't even very good. But you still put in weeks and weeks of time and effort, and then it's 20 minutes and they go no. And it just happened again and again and again, and you just get beat up to the point where we were out of money and we were just like, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, but that's when you almost forget that you have to really remind yourself of why you're doing it in the first place. And I think we saw like Gareth Edwards, who went on to Star Wars, but like he had put out this small movie Monsters, and it was like, and he just made this movie on his own. And it was something he was clearly very passionate about, and he got it out there, and he made it. And we're like, what are we doing? Why are we pitching found footage movies? Like, why aren't we doing something that we love and care about? And so that was kind of the first time we sat down and we wrote something like personal that was just something, a small movie that we felt passionate about, that was just for, that we were like, we're going to make, also we're not going to sell this as a script, we're going to direct this. And it was the first time that writing wasn't a struggle for us, and it came out really quickly. And it was the first time when you're handing it out to your agent, I felt like I didn't feel worried about it. Like I felt like something had clicked for the first time. And then it was supposed to be an indie movie, and then suddenly we had 2, major studios bidding on it, and that started a bidding war. And that was the first time, we had sold something professionally. And that was a really big lesson for us. I still pull from today in terms of, write what you love, and try to ignore all the noise of what people are telling you they want. And I think that's really hard because it's such a difficult road that you're trying to figure out the system, and you're trying to play into what people want and what the studios want because it feels so impossible. And the act of doing that ended up really derailing us for a couple years.